What's up, FinTalk family? Today we're going to go ahead and cover Miami Dolphins 2025 Day 15 of training camp with the joint practice with the Detroit Lions. The Dolphins rebounded on day 15. But first of all, we're going to go in and Good Morning Football had to say about what quarterback Tua Tagovailoa said after the practice today with the Detroit Lions. I think it was today or yesterday. I apologize, guys. And then the Dolphins made a roster move. But let's first hear from Tua and what Good Morning Football had to say. Their comments from what Tua had to say from Good Morning Football.
I think today offensively was a very frustrating day. In regards to what we wanted to do, what we said we wanted to do, came out. And we just weren't able to get things jump-started, whether it was move the ball, whether it was one of the third down team periods, another team period, red zone. It just felt like we didn't have the energy that we're used to when we practice and when we play against, opponents. So that's what I'm talking about when I talk about it was frustrating today.
It's an honest answer from Tua Tagovailoa. When we hear that things are not going great for the Lions joint practice, not great for the Dolphins, that means. What is your reaction? Manti, someone who knows Tua as well as you do.
First, it's hard for Tua to say that. Tua's very quiet. He doesn't really say much, but for him to actually be articulate about that situation, I think that just, for me, my mind goes to it must be really bad because Tua just doesn't do that. Now, I will say this. There was a conversation that was had when Mike McDaniel first took the job that he had an approach where, it was a player-led locker room. Now, you understand this, Seth. That's great and all, but you need to have a standard bearer. You need to have somebody that you can look to and say, this is how we're going to do it. Follow what this guy is doing. I know in your world it is somebody like Triple H, somebody that the company looks to as, what are we doing? What are our values? Like when all crap hits the fan, like who is going to take hold of this team and lead us? For you, it's Triple H.
Yeah, man.
For the Miami Dolphins, who is that? Nobody knows.
No.
And so this is, for me, in my opinion, what leads to that. It's things aren't going well. People are saying they want to be traded. People are saying this and that on Twitter, on the field, whatever it is. You need somebody to step up and say, hey, we're going to do it this way. This is how we're going to get out of this crap. And right now, the Miami Dolphins are kind of in this place where they just don't know, Seth. So they need like a Triple H to come in there and be like, hey, this is what we're doing.
Yeah, you need a Triple H or, on the opposite end of this, we're talking about Dan Campbell and the Lions. You need a leader of men. You need a guy who's going to come in and, look, Triple H is a great example for me because he's a guy who gives talent, myself. He gives us, the players, the ability to think for ourselves, to work and to have ideas and contribute and all that. But at the same time, he's not afraid to make decisions, right? He'll put the hammer down when it needs to be put down. And guys understand that. The guys and girls in the locker room understand, like you said, Manti, where to turn when you need direction. So I'm a little split on this. One thing I'll say about this is I'm glad that they recognize it, right? To me, it's the worst when you've got teams who are like, oh, no, they shrug it off like it's no big deal. And I get it. It's preseason, it's training camp. Mistakes are going to be made. But the fact that Tua recognizes this, he's taking accountability for it, means that he's not going to sit there and settle. He wants to be better than this, right? And if you have a team that wants to be better, that's not just shrugging off like, oh, it'll be fine, we'll get through it, it's not a big deal. He's like, no, we had a bad practice, we got to be better. And I like that. I like that from myself.
What I'm kind of hearing about your Triple H comparison and parallel is similar to what we're seeing, at least from the opening months of Ben Johnson's reign, which is like, I'm going to give you the responsibility as the talent in the locker room. You are autonomous with this power, but if you need help and counsel, I am here for you. And that's what, as a Bears fan, you'd want to see, but it's also how your world is run.
You need like we mentioned it in the last hour, you need somebody to push you to be the best version of yourself. Like, players need to be coached. You know what I mean? Young players especially need to be coached. And young talent in WWE, we need to be coached, I was there. I came to WWE in my 20s. I needed people ahead of me like Randy Orton, like John Cena, like Kane, like, these leaders in the locker room who would push you, wouldn't let you live in a comfort zone like, oh, I finally made it to the big time. No, you're here to win football games. You're not here to make money. You're here to win football games and create a legacy for us and this team. And so you need people like that, like a Tua, whether it's going to be Ben Johnson in Chicago. When we were talking about hiring head coaches, I loved the feeling of Ben Johnson because I loved coming from the Dan Campbell tree, and Dan was a guy who is a leader of men. He's got these guys in positions who are going to work for him. And I hope they can find that in Miami, but it doesn't feel great right now. I will say, doesn't feel great if I'm a Miami Dolphins.
I'm going to go ahead and pop up the tweet of the roster moves the Dolphins made today. Roster moves. We have signed offensive lineman Yordini Kazjusti and placed offensive lineman German Ifidi on the injured reserve list. Guys, we just signed Ifidi about 5 to 7 days ago, I believe, and he's already injured. This is crazy. Next, I'm going to go ahead and read to you what happened at practice, then we're going to listen to the pressers. Offensive rebounds versus Detroit's defense. Struggles again, plus stock up, stock down. Allen Park, Michigan. The Miami Dolphins almost got a partial bounce back in their second of 2 joint practices against the Detroit Lions Thursday. But they needed a complete bounce back after the way Wednesday's first session went. The Dolphins' offense was good Thursday, but the defense was so-so. After quarterback Tua Tagovailoa called it frustrating how his offense couldn't get going against the Lions' defense as he was forced into several sacks, throwaways, and dump-offs on Wednesday, the offense was better. Wide receiver D. Estridge made a highlight reel touchdown catch from Tagovailoa that had the Miami sidelines erupt. He caught it by skying over Lions cornerback DJ Reed, formerly of the Jets, in the back of the end zone. That had me juiced. Not gonna lie. That had me turned. Senator Aaron Brewer said, top of the head. That was really a blur. It was nasty. While the Dolphins defense still gave up a series of touchdowns against the Lions outside, linebacker Bradley Chubb still felt it was an improvement in the process and how that unit practiced. There were some headliners and unexpected names among those not seen participating at Thursday's practice. Running back Devon Achane, unknown. Defensive tackle Zach Zeeler, unknown, wearing a baseball cap. No pads. Wide receiver Tyreek Hill, oblique. Edge rusher Jaylen Phillips, lower left leg. Safety Ashton Davis, lower left leg. Fullback Alec Ingold, concussion protocol. Center Andrew Meyer, unknown. Right tackle Austin Jackson, lower extremity. Offensive tackle Byron Matos, upper body and edge rusher Mokamara, concussion protocol. HN and Sealer were not known to have their status in question after seemingly making it through Wednesday's drills. Edge rusher Chop Robinson was participating on one-on-ones and team drills after Wednesday's injury scare. He tried a move once on the inside and got taken down too far by 2-time All-Pro right tackle Financial Sewell, one of the best in the game. Estridge touchdown was the top highlight for the Dolphins, and the catch, mossing Reed in the corner of the end zone, stamped a Dolphins response on the sidelines of the ball that Miami walked away from the Lions facility with the signature moment over the 2 days. The Dolphins sideline erupted with May offensive teammates. It should have said many, but it says May. With many offensive teammates storming the corner of the field to celebrate with Estridge, including wide receivers coach Robert Prince, exuberant for one of his players. But on the other field, there was part 2 of Sam Brown show while Wilson had his own big highlight. Lions quarterback Jared Goff, who mostly had a clean pocket behind his elite offensive line, hit Williams deep over the top for a long touchdown over safety Ifatu Malufalu. Cornerback Kendall Sheffield, Malufalu, and Williams were drawing again after Wednesday's practice had them at a heat of skirmish. Williams also caught a red zone touchdown against cornerback Storm Duck. Sam Brown had a touchdown catch against cornerback Cornell Armstrong from in close. That was too easy with the separation. Williams was dancing in the face of Dolphin defenders after the play. Practice ended with both teams getting into 2-minute drill opportunities, down 4 to a score touchdown. The Detroit drive ended with Ifeatu Malifualo, the former Lion safety, making the game-winning pass breakup on the final Goff throw in the end zone with 2 seconds left. Goff connected with Sam Brown on a 3rd and 16 to keep the drive going. Inside linebacker Terrell Dotson thought the ball was coming right to him in the end zone defense, but Sam Brown swooping in over the deep middle of his route. Safety Minka Fitzpatrick split the sack on Goff early in the drive with defensive tackle Matthew Butler. It was a rare instance of pressure from the Miami front. Duck hat pass breakup against Lions wide receiver Khalif Raymond early in the possession. The Dolphins went 4 and out on the drive without Hill nor Waddle. On a 3rd and 7 for Tagovailoa, he threw behind Estridge, who couldn't handle it. The final 4th down had Tagovailoa throw to wide receiver Tyreek Black. It was questionable on whether the defensive pass interference flag should have been thrown, but the Dolphins did not get the call. The Lions offense got going on the ground. 2 running backs, Jamar Gibbs and David Montgomery, each had big runs going to the right side, which is manned by Sewell. Montgomery came through the middle with a head of steam, lowering himself into a collision with Fitzpatrick. Both players appear to be okay. Inside linebacker Jordan Brooks shot a gap very nicely for a 3rd down TFL on the drive. That started with Lions backup pushing forward on the 1st and 2nd down. Brooks was also upset with teammates on a touchdown surrendered to Montgomery where there may have been miscommunication or he was picked. Defensive tackle Jordan Brooks, inside linebacker Willie Gay combined for a tackle for loss versus running back Jacob Sailors. The Dolphins sideline erupted. Rookie defensive tackle Kenneth Grant also made a stout run stuff. There was a quick scuffle Thursday. Lions offensive lineman Dan Skipper seen with helmet off. Inside linebacker Willie Gay Jr. KJ Britt looked to be in the thick of it. Quarterbacks Tua Tagovailoa and Zach Wilson had a fine 7-on-7 period. Tagovailoa hit Jaylen Waddle for 2 touchdowns and also found Malik Washington and Eric Ezukama on the red zone. Wilson threw 2 touchdowns, including 1 to Black. Multiple pass interferences were drawn in this period. Tagovailoa possible 55-yard touchdown throw to Waddle, which was overthrown slightly, goes off Waddle's hands. What you could argue was a catchable pass. Left tackle Patrick Paul got a good shot on cornerback Rock Yassin, and Yassin's response with a shot to Paul's helmet in retaliation moved that drew penalty flags. Yassin was torched in 7-on-7 work. With the Lions offense working against the Dolphins defense in 7-on-7, Sam Brown had back-to-back short touchdown catches from Goff, once beating Marshall to the corner and the other beating Sheffield. Ifeatu Malifualo got the better of Williams early on when his tight coverage forced an incompletion down the right sidelines. Goff nearly dropped another beautiful dime into Sam Brown at one point, and he just couldn't haul it in with one hand against rookie cornerback Jason Marshall Jr. A few other offensive line, defensive line, one-on-one observations. Outside linebacker Quinn Bell moved his blocker back with a bull rush. Defensive tackle Zig Bigger showed an athletic swim move. Butler was locked up by rookie offensive tackle Tate Ratledge. Running back Aaron Champlin, running behind Keon Smith, scored a 5-yard touchdown on a wide run. Champlin lowered the shoulder to get across the goal line. Some fine blocking also from Smith, Jackson Karma, and Daniel Brunskill on a 2-yard touchdown score. From Wilson to running back Mike Boone. Both new running backs got into the end zone. Stock up. Wide receiver D. Estridge had an outstanding touchdown reception over cornerback DJ Reed. excited the entire Dolphins offensive line. Estridge, who is earning a spot on the 53-man roster, had provided excitement as a wide receiver, kick returner, punt returner last week at Chicago. He had a 41-yard kickoff return and a 60-yard punt return. Stock down. Backup right tackle Larry Broom was going against defensive end Aiden Hutchinson, one of the league's best, but he surrendered a sack and numerous pressures Thursday. The concern is Broom, who remains a backup to injured starting tackle Austin Jackson, didn't show too much improvement from Wednesday. The Dolphins' home Broom's lack of adjustment is in a common thread among backup offensive linemen. All right, guys, now we're going to listen to Coach Mike McDaniel and what he had to say.
He'll practice today.
Okay. Quick turnaround. How much of a relief is that to see after that scare yesterday?
No, it's always anytime a player's down. The best case scenario could possibly be they could participate in practice without risk of further injury. It was a rib hit that we had to make sure we were responsible and didn't have any fractures or anything like that. He's definitely sore, but he'll be practicing today.
Like yesterday, to express frustration, other players did, not up to your standard. What did you see and what do you expect today?
Was it? Yeah. So it's interesting. So Tua said that right after practice, right? We're very process driven, but as competitors, guys, it's impossible not to really get annoyed and pissed off when the results aren't what you'd expect. Quite honestly, I didn't like a majority of the results on plays. But for me, I think, what players on the team that have been with me have learned, what people learn every single season in the NFL, is you are addressing a challenge of independently addressing your craft without with positive or negative feedback. Negative results, positive results. Are you going to take your foot off the gas and start doing less because you've had positive results, or are you going to assess what your positive results are, assess what the negative ones are? And for me, I didn't like practice because there was a lot of negative results tied to things that we've been working on in our process. So I'm cool with contested losses. I'm not cool with busts. I'm cool with DB making a great play. I'm not cool with a receiver running a wrong route. Those types of things. So overall, the day was, the environment was what I expected. The tonality and the energy of who we're practicing against was what I expected. And we signed up for this because it's invaluable, August work for, things that we'll continue to have to work on regardless of results in September, but they'll actually count. So it was, I think it was based upon their responses, we'll see how valuable yesterday was, or how much the lessons weren't learned from certain things. But I'm always careful. I'm glad I don't have press conferences immediately after practices every day, because practice, unlike games, you really, really have to lean into what are we working on. If you get distracted by the results, positive or negative, and don't focus on what you do to create the results, you'll end up leaving yourself shorthanded at the end of the season.
For the energy to be lacking, which is what Tua said after last practice? Does that irk you as a coach when players should be hyped to face an opponent? And how do you combat that?
Oh yeah, I was irked. But there's, it's layered, and there's 90 people, and it's an energy of there's like accumulation of all those people that the collective creates an energy, and is that how they started the day? Are they too focused? Are they letting results dictate their energy? These are all things that fall under the umbrella. You go down the line, take your time and try to assess, figure out what you think it is, and then address it with the players in meetings. So I think, the biggest thing is like, if you have a team that has the intent and desire, and then you go and go against a team that has, very much strong intent and desire, the residuals are actual things for you to get better at. So, there's a lot of things I ask players to work on, and they wouldn't work on it if they were results driven. There's guys in one-on-ones doing techniques against really good players that they've never done before. I would hope you would want me as a coach to tell them to go ahead and work on those. And if you get beat, it has to be purposeful. So I don't like when things happen over and over and over, the same thing. And guys know that. And so then the things that I very much didn't like from yesterday, I showed them, and I'm expecting those things to be fixed.
Yesterday, Tyreek and Jaylen would be monitored. Jaylen played more. Tyreek didn't step on the field. Is it more on him today?
Oh, okay, so, I think it's it would be unfair to not, with absolute, just being concrete, like, if Tyreek didn't have to answer to anybody, he would have practiced yesterday. And I fear we might be talking about an injury that's a lot longer term. He wanted to practice, however, he had to give honest feedback when asked direct questions to our training staff and myself, in that competitive nature, he was very much at risk for an injury that would keep him out a lot longer than he's been out right now. So, I think I'm just happy that our training staff understood the magnitude of further or bigger aggravation of something, and was proactive. I think you'll.
All right, guys, there you go. Now next, Kenneth Grant speaks to the media.
How does it feel to be back in Michigan, seeing all the blue and yellow, amazing yellow, I guess?
Amazing yellow. It feels pretty good. One of my first NFL games, I was up here in college watching the Detroit Lions play. So it's great to be back here, actually like practicing against them and seeing what goes on in practice.
What do you think of the experience you've gotten going against the Lions?
They're pretty decent. They're pretty good for the most part. I mean, they do a lot of stuff. They're a good unit, but we just got to focus on us and what we can control.
How does that get you better?
I'm sorry?
How does that get you better?
It gets me better in a lot of ways. I think an area right now is we just got to focus on us and communication along the line, along the defensive line, and just, control what we can control.
How quick, we didn't see Zach go through drills, but he was watching you guys talk about his presence and how he'll still get involved even though he's not.
His presence is a big factor. If he's out there or not. He's always talking to the guys, talking about what he sees and what we could do better. He's just like a second coach, to be honest.
Being a first-round pick from Michigan is not really a surprise because of how many guys get drafted high up. But what has been the transition for yourself coming from winning a national championship on the college level to now coming to Miami and making an impact on it?
Yeah, it's been humbling to be honest. You know, I know my skill set and what I can do, but you know, my coaches and players, they hold me accountable and, you know, always tell me that I haven't arrived, you know, on first round. You know, it's still the NFL, and you know, I mean, like, yeah, everybody's good, so you gotta be on your P's and Q's every day. So just trying to be humble, not big-headed, and focus on the next rep.
I was reading something that the coaches said that you were everything they expected to be as a first-round pick.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how much do you feel like your game has improved in a short amount of time?
Yeah, I feel like my game has improved a lot, you know, just from the run and definitely the pass rushing. But, you know, just I'm trying to get in the hang of the drills of what Coach Clark is teaching me and, you know, his way of seeing things and trying to implement that in my game and take it to another level.
Did you have much interaction with Lions players when you were in college? Did you talk with them? Did you see them?
No, not really. I mean, Hutch came back to Michigan every once in a while, just talk to the team, but other than that, no.
I was going to ask, did you and Hutch have any chance to talk about that?
Nah, we didn't chop it up. You know, I talked to Ronnie Bell. We were chopping it up yesterday. You know, great guy. He loves it here. Loves to be back home in Michigan. His brother Kendrick's at Michigan, so he's not like too far from home. Still has family out here. So, I mean, just Ronnie told me to just take it one day at a time and, you know, control what I can control.
We've seen Jordan Brooks make so many plays this camp. Does he talk to you about things he wants in terms of being able to scrape off you in the run defense and kind of just tell you what he likes to see for defensive tackle?
Yeah, I mean, for me, he just tells me put a stop sign right there. Like nobody's running out there. Imagine it's a stop sign right there. So that's his motivation to me every play. Just he constantly reminds me that he's back there and he has my back.
Does he jump out on tape when you guys go back and watch practices?
Oh yeah, for sure. He's a savvy vet. You know, he's a hard nosed, brings the energy every single play. You know, he wants to be up there hard nosed and fitting people up.
How much did that time in Ann Arbor prepare you for the moment right now?
It prepared me a lot. I mean, I think Ann Arbor is one of the few institutes that, I mean, Michigan is one of the few institutes that, you know, get their players ready for the next step for the league on and off the field. So, I mean, I think in the key of life, I think they prepared me pretty well.
All right, guys, that was Kenneth Grant. Now, Aaron Brewer, the last interview for the day.
I feel like we came out there and dominated, competed. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just felt good seeing all the guys we out there celebrating together, having fun, and just playing with some passion. And you felt the energy today. It was contagious.
How big was it for you guys to be able to come back as an offense and put on a better performance than most?
It was very important, but, you know, like, it's just the name of the game. Like, you have your good days, you have your bad days. And once you have your bad day, you flush it and come back and do better. You have a good day, flush it, come back and do better. I was out there talking to some of the defensive guys. They yapping back yesterday. Yesterday over with. You see what's happening today. So that's the whole goal. That's how we work.
What does it say? You get this experience against a strong opponent where you had what happened yesterday and then to be able to bounce back against a team like that?
I feel like that just shows, like, our identity. You know what I'm saying? That shows, like, what we made of and how we deal with adversity. And, like, that's what you get. Like, that's when you see who your team is, when we have adversity and how you respond to it. And it was just a good practice for us to have against a good team, good competitors, good players.
Coach this morning talked a little bit about how trying to put you guys in uncomfortable situations and trying to, like, make it tough on you out here. As a player, how do you approach that or internalize that approach when maybe it doesn't look as good as you want to, but you're working through stuff?
It's something that I feel every player has to learn in their life, no matter what sport you play. Like, what you're doing in life, like, whether you're playing a sport or just in life in general, you know, you got to have short-term memory or something, because you're going to have your shortcomings and things not going to go the way you like it to. So when you do have stuff is difficult, stuff goes wrong, you got to be able to take it in, flush it out, and on to the next, and just have that short-term memory and just keep going.
What was your vantage point of where you DS reached touchdown and quality end zone?
That had me juice. I ain't gonna lie, that had me turn. Top of the head, that was like a real blur. You know what I'm saying? Like, he went on top of, that was nasty.
I didn't know you could jump that.
He took it off his top. That was head tap.
All right, guys. Like always, stay positive, stay on your grind, and leave me any comments down below. of what you think of day 15 of the joint practice between the Miami Dolphins and the Detroit Lions. Like always, stay positive, stay on your grind, and go Dolphins. See you later. Peace.